Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Today we are going to focus entirely on Donald Trump, specifically matters or issues or developments related to, well, approval and polling and prospects for the election. And I will be quoting extensively from a particular article because it's a great article. It says everything I would want to say. Of course, I will link to the entire article. I always link to the articles that I cite, that I quote, so that you can read the whole article. But I want to start out with Donald Trump's approval rating. I have mentioned in the past, let me just give everybody an update, my go-to poll for approval is the Rasmussen poll. And the reason it is because, number one, they do likely voters. Number two, it's a 3-day moving average, so there's not a dependence on one day's results. 3, they use a robotic voice, a mechanical voice, so respondents cannot be influenced by inflections in a human questioner's voice. That is why I really like that poll. And this one is pretty interesting because Trump had been or has been in the mid to low 40s most of the time, even in the Rasmussen poll, but his approval is really bad in some other, well, there really aren't that many other polls. In fact, there might not be any as far as I know. I may be conflating election polls with approval polls because anyways, this is the only one that is done the way that I just described it. I had said yesterday that Trump, for the first time in a long time, the time before was way back in February when Trump hit 50%, and then he hit 50% yesterday, but he just hit 51% today, which is the day before you are seeing this poll. So we're talking about Monday. He hit 51%. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. Now, what's interesting to note is that, as I just said, it's a moving average. So if it's an average, then one of the 3 days used for computing the average, he has to, as a simple matter of mathematics, he has to have been above 51%. Now, his highest rating, I don't know his highest daily rating with Rasmussen because, again, it's a 3-day moving average, but his highest average rating, which is even better, is 53%. That was back in September of 2019. It was actually September 24th, 2019. He was at 53%. So it's going to be interesting to see if he hits that again between now and the election. Now, it's also interesting to note, as you can see from the chart, that Obama at this point in his first term was at 44%. So Obama was 44% and Trump is 51%. Now, I just want to mention another poll. I am not putting, well, it could be an outlier. It's a British paper, the Express. There's a Daily Express, there's a Sunday Express, which comes out obviously on Sunday. The Sunday Express has an election poll. They were doing a poll too. It's interesting that the British papers seem to take a lot of interest, at least a couple of them, in what's happening in our country. So the Sunday Express did a poll and it showed Trump winning, Trump beating Biden. That's the first poll I've seen like that, and not just in the general election, but in the important swing states that Trump is leading there too. Now, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this because there's a human tendency sometimes, well, this is a good time for full disclosure. I'm a conservative. I'm going to vote for Trump in November, so that's why I say it's a cautionary note not to read a lot into one poll, because there is a human tendency to inflate to put a lot of emphasis on good news and bad news. I guess if you're a liberal, and this would be bad news for a liberal, the main reason I'm not showing the poll and the results and going into much detail about it is because the article, which I'm linking to, you can see for yourself, you can read all the results, but the article, as far as I could see, does not state the methodology. So I don't know how many people were polled. I don't know whether it's a daily poll, moving average as Rasmussen does. I don't know if it's all American adults or if it's registered voters or likely voters. I have no idea. So I can't tell you how much credence to put in this poll, whether you're a conservative or a liberal, but I mention it because that's what I try to do with this vlog, to give you all the information that you might not have seen from other media. For instance, if you don't read the conservative papers, I have to wonder how many of the liberal media stations, papers, etc., are going to cite this poll because it's bad news for them. And again, it may be an outlier. Now, I want to move on. Before I get to this article, I want to just show you a campaign ad, a Trump campaign ad. I think it's one of the, if not the best Trump ad that I have seen so far. Maybe it's because he recently appointed a new campaign manager, but the tone, everything about it, to me, is just right on, or since we were talking about a British paper, as our British friends would say, spot on. Either way, it's a great ad, and in my opinion, the kind of positive, optimistic message that we should get more of from Donald Trump and from the campaign, not just a series of attacks on Joe Biden, because the American public get tired of it after a while. So here's the ad. Just watch the ad.
The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead. Because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference. Nothing worth doing ever came easy. Treat the word impossible as nothing more than motivation. The future belongs to the people who follow their heart no matter what the critics say. We must always remember that we share one home and one glorious destiny. We all bleed the same red blood of patriots. We all salute the same great American flag. Our best days are yet to come.
That is a great ad. I saw it on Twitter. I hope that it's going to be running on TV and in other venues. It's one of the problems of living in Tennessee. Same problem liberals probably have living in New York, or conservatives, that in certain states that are so heavily Democrat or so heavily Republican that the opposing party has no chance to carry that state. For that reason, a lot of these ads, the campaigns just don't spend money airing ads there where they think they won't do any good. And that means that I, for instance, in Tennessee, don't get to see these ads. I don't get to see these campaign ads unless they end up on the internet somewhere, because why, whether you're a Biden campaign operative or a Trump campaign operative, why air these ads in a state where you know what the result is going to be? But I would just digress for a minute that I do think that Trump should, if he turns out to be doing well as we move towards the election, and if he has the money and the time, should campaign in California, New York, some of these blue states. Why? To increase the popular vote. It would be really great if Trump won the Electoral College and the popular vote. It would First of all, it would really devastate or demoralize the Democrats, but it takes away one of their arguments that Trump won the electoral vote but did not win the popular vote. So it would be nice to see that happen. Never mind that Clinton did not win the popular vote in the first election. He got something like 43%. There were three candidates. There were Perot and Bush, three candidates, but nevertheless, we are a federal system. The popular vote means nothing as far as electing a president, but it does give one bragging rights. So I think he should campaign there. And now we get to the article from which I am going to quote extensively. It's by Hugh Hewitt. Hugh Hewitt is a conservative, commentator, pundit, but he is also the host of his own radio show. He's a lawyer too, for what that's worth. I won't hold that against him, that he's a lawyer. But he's listed all of Trump's accomplishments, or quite an extensive list. I assume this is everything. But if you ever need a reminder of everything that Trump has accomplished in just 3 years, the first 3 years of his administration, you can refer to this article. More important, if somebody says to you, what has Trump done that he deserves re-election, you can refer to this article or even send it to them. I'm linking to it in the description for your convenience of reference and convenience of emailing to other people. I also want to take a minute here before I get into the article just to congratulate or pay a compliment to the Washington Post, where this article is published, because it's a strong defense of Donald Trump. It's a very well argued defense of Donald Trump, and it is in the liberal Washington Post. Compare that to the New York Times, where Tom Cotton, Senator Tom Cotton, had an op-ed published, and the editor who published the editorial, the op-ed piece, was forced to resign. So again, congratulations to the Washington Post. And now on to the article. Headline: The case for Trump will come down to his record. It's a strong one. President Trump's record of accomplishments is easy to compile. Most significantly, he has brought the existential threat posed by the Chinese Communist Party into the sunlight. No more nice words. No more treating the Tiananmen Square massacre as a bug, not a feature. The light is on. Trump has pulled the cord. With huge help from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Trump has put 2 justices on the Supreme Court, 53 judges on the federal courts of appeals, 144 and counting on the district courts, and more than 20 on the specialty courts. The Constitution has been buttressed. Trump's tax cuts, along with the massive deregulation he orchestrated, led to 3.5% unemployment until the regime in Beijing acted with criminal recklessness toward a virus that has devastated the world. Trump took a military operating in President Barack Obama's last years at about $600 billion and moved that budget by his third year to $738 billion, with more in the budget coming soon. The Navy necessary to meet China on the high seas, all 355 ships of it, is being planned and built. Trump tore up the so-called Iran nuclear deal, which was a tower of absurd hopes built on a policy of appeasement and a foundation of hostility to Israel. Trump moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem and blessed Israel's necessary annexation of the Golan Heights. His peace plan is the closest to reality of any since Oslo. Trump took the United States out of the unbalanced, absurd, doomed-to-fail Paris Climate Agreement and has instead focused on and delivered American energy independence. People have real job security in Pennsylvania as a result, if not in jetting off to Paris for follow-up seminars, which, if I can just throw in an aside here, our liberal friends like to do. They love these seminars, they love talking, they love process. just don't care too much about results. Trump ordered Iran's master terrorist, General Qasem Soleimani, killed, accomplished the complete physical destruction of the Islamic State Caliphate, and successfully hunted down its terrorist chieftain Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The Syrian butcher, Bashar al-Assad, has twice used chemical weapons and twice had cruise missiles remind him that the red line is back and is real. Russian mercenaries attacked U.S. troops in Syria and were mowed down. Not an American was killed. Even Cuba is back in its box, joined there by Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro. At home, Trump pushed through the long overdue justice reform legislation and the reorganization of Veterans Affairs, and this year, the Great American Outdoors Act that fully funds the Land and Water Conservation Fund. House Democrats passed a piffling bill when COVID-19 arrived, while Trump, McConnell, and Senate Republicans advanced the innovative and massive Paycheck Protection Program that kept the U.S. economy from collapsing, even as it contracted by nearly 10% in the second quarter as China's principal export, COVID-19, ravaged the country. Trump's border wall proceeding apace makes obvious sense. More than 200 miles completed, with Trump tweeting Thursday the length will be 300 miles by September. Trump got his United States-Mexico-Canada agreement replacing the North American Free Trade Agreement. From dairy farms in Wisconsin to border businesses in Arizona, the USMCA was a huge win for the United States. While establishing himself as the most accessible to the media president in modern times, Trump has also stripped off the veneer of objectivity from the, quote, fake news, unquote. Trump hammered that home and journalists hate him for it. Trump's brawling, slugging, tempestuous approach to everything in every hour has worn down many, but his road is marked by these accomplishments. Former Vice President Joe Biden's near 50-year run in government is marked by, well, you fill that in. Polls say Biden is far ahead. We shall see. Indeed, we shall see. I cited earlier that one poll from the British paper showing Trump winning. I cited Rasmussen's 51% approval rating. We'll have to see what happens going forward. But that's what Hugh Hewitt says. We shall see. In the meantime, I would like to see a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? The comment section below the video, where you can also put questions, suggestions for future topics. I would love more subscribers, so subscribe. But most of all, come back and see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.